विकास, काफी लोग मुझे जानते हैं प्रोडोमिनेंटली मेरे काम के लिए, जो कि फोकस्ड है इनजस्टिसेस अगेंस्ट मेन। मैं पिछले लगभग 11 साल से कंटिन्यूअसली ऐसी स्टोरी समाज के सामने लाती रही हूँ जहाँ पे गलत या एक विक्टिम जो है वो हम लोग आमतौर पे सोचते हैं कि हमेशा औरतों के साथ गलत होता है, बट मैं ऐसी कहानियां लोगों के समक्ष लेकर आती हूँ जहाँ पे इट्स वाइस वर्सा। इट्स अ मैन हु इज अ विक्टिम ऑफ फॉल्स एक्यूजेशन या डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस, या फिर उसके उसके ऊपर एक फॉल्स चार्ज लगाया गया है, या फिर उसकी सुनवाई नहीं हुई गई है। सुसाइड केसेस वेयर द मैन हैज डाइड बिकॉज ही वाज नॉट हर्ड और फॉल्सली अक्यूज। तो इस तरह की बहुत सारी कहानियां हैं या बहुत सारे केसेस हैं जो मैं लोगों के सामने लेकर आई हूँ टू सॉर्ट ऑफ चैंपियन द कॉज फॉर जेंडर न्यूट्रल लॉज या फिर एक इक्वल सोसाइटी, इक्वालिटी इन रियल टर्म्स, इफ आई वुड से सो। बिकॉज बहुत समय से आई थिंक थोड़ा सा बैलेंस काफी दूसरी साइड टिल्ट होना शुरू हो गया है। मैं ये नहीं बोलूंगी कि कंप्लीटली टिल्टेड है, लेकिन काफी ज्यादा जो है वुमेन फ्रेंडली लॉज हैं, वुमेन फ्रेंडली सिस्टम है। तो कहीं ना कहीं बहुत सारे आदमी हैं जिनकी सुनवाई नहीं हो रही है। मैंने दो डॉक्यूमेंट्री फिल्म्स बनाई हैं। एक है झूठे डाउरी केसेस के ऊपर जिसका नाम है मार्टर्स ऑफ मैरिज, और अभी हाल फिलहाल में मैंने एक डॉक्यूमेंट्री रिलीज करी है जिसका नाम है इंडिया सन्स, जो कि झूठे रेप केस जिन लोगों ने फेस किए उसके बाद उनको जीता, वो इनोसेंट थे, और उनकी लाइफ की जो स्ट्रगल्स हैं या फिर उनके साथ जो इनजस्टिस हुआ उसको मैंने काफी ज्यादा डिटेल में जो है लोगों तक पहुंचाने की कोशिश की है। इसके अलावा जो है इस तरह की अपनी जर्नलिज्म एफर्ट से स्टोरीज बाहर लेकर आती रहती हूँ और अवेयरनेस स्प्रेड करती रहती हूँ।
So this is a really good initiative. The thing is, as a lawyer, what I've seen, there are female-centric laws, and there is a trend. Even the Supreme Court has said so. Many high courts have said so, that this is kind of a legal terrorism
Yeah.
when female are unleashing upon the male-dominated society, so-called male-dominated society. So why did you start this initiative? Because working for the females, औरतों के लिए काम करेंगे तो ज्यादा अच्छी फंडिंग होती है, ज्यादा लोग आते हैं. This is kind of कि भाई हम, there is this dilemma, and historically what I've seen, people are always saying कि women were oppressed and that's why we were supposed to make these kind of laws. And the NGOs which are working in this field for the betterment of females, empowerment for both socially, financially, and emotionally also, they get more funding. But
Yeah.
you've chosen a taboo subject कि जो कहते हैं ना मर्द को भी दर्द होता है टाइप. So so why did you start this initiative? Although it is required in the society, I agree, totally agree with it. But why did you start it?
Because my journey essentially stems from my own personal experience. It happened in my family. There were false accusations of dowry and domestic violence within 4 months of the marriage of my brother, where the actual cause of the conflict was an extramarital affair. The woman had got married only as, sort of to hide her activities. She was involved with this man prior to marriage. She was involved with this man after the marriage as well, and the marriage was basically done only to show to the society, because the man she was in affair with was a married man and they could not get married. So they decided that, she will get married and they will continue the affair as it is. Too bad for them that, they messed up with me. So I gathered all the evidences. It was a very, अब तो मैं बहुत हंस के और बहुत आसानी से इन चीजों को बोल देती हूँ, but when it was happening, it was immense trauma, नॉट जस्ट इमोशनल सेटबैक, बिकॉज सब लोग इंडिया में शादी को एक बहुत ही हैप्पी इंस्टीट्यूशन देखते हैं। एक एवरीबडी वेट्स फॉर दिस लैंडमार्क इवेंट इन लाइफ, इफ आई वुड से सो। एवरीबडी इज जस्ट सो हैप्पी, दे लुक टुवर्ड्स द फ्यूचर, वेलकमिंग अनदर फैमिली मेंबर एंड थिंग्स लाइक दैट। बट व्हेन दिस इट गेट कंप्लीटली शैटर्ड, बहुत दुख होता है। तो मेरे सामने वो हो रहा था, बट देन वी रियलाइज दैट we will have to face it. अब ये हो गया है तो we will have to face it. You can't do much about it. So एक तो इमोशनल सेटबैक होता है, फिर उसके बाद साथ ही साथ में एक कंप्लीटली एक ऐसा मॉन्स्टर आपके सामने आ जाता है जिसके बारे में आपको कोई आइडिया नहीं होता है, विच इज फॉल्स केसेस। आप रीजन तो था अडल्ट्री, बट एलिगेशंस लग गए कि 18 लाख दहेज मांगा जाता था, 3 कपड़ों में घर से बाहर निकाल दिया, चुन्नी से गला दबा के उनको मारने की कोशिश की। एंड बिजार, आई मीन लाइक हर रोज मैं ऑफिस गोइंग इंसान, और जो कि एक्चुअली बहुत ज्यादा इक्वालिटी में बिलीव करती है, मतलब मैंने स्ट्रेंजर औरतों के लिए रोड पे लड़ाइयां लड़ी हैं अगर उनके साथ किसी ने बुरा किया, और मेरे जैसी इंसान के लिए ये एलिगेशंस लगाएगी कि मैं उसको हर रोज पीटती थी। आई मीन हॉरिबल, राइट? सो मैंने डिसाइड किया कि दैट वी आर गोना फाइट इट, एंड वी आर नॉट गोना गो डाउन टू देयर डिमांड्स, क्योंकि जब मीडिएशन वगैरह में गए, as a lawyer, I'm sure you know this entire, you know, sort of sequence of events that happened. So as soon as हमारा केस, उन लोगों ने हमारे ऊपर allegations लगाए, और उसके बाद there was a court hearing, कोर्ट में फर्स्ट हियरिंग में ही हमारे केस को मीडिएशन में डाल दिया जाता है। मीडिएशन में बैठते ही उनकी डिमांड शुरू हो जाती है कि हमारे को तो 20 लाख रुपए चाहिए। भैया क्यों 20 लाख रुपए चाहिए? सारा का सारा दोष आपका है, सारी की सारी गलती आपकी है, लेकिन आप हमारे ऊपर झूठे एलिगेशंस लगा रहे हो, हरास कर रहे हो, उसके बाद पैसे भी हम ही आपको दें। तो वी सेड वी आर नॉट गोइंग टू गिव इट, बट that is when sort of this journey began. I was working as a journalist with a media company, and I used to think that being in media, there would be a lot of people who would come forward to help. And we had all the evidences. ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं था कि हम लोग हवा में बोल रहे थे. We had messages. उस टाइम पे स्मार्टफोन्स बहुत ज्यादा नहीं होते थे. We had text messages. We had made videos going outside her office, capturing her, going out with the person she was involved with. तो हमारे पास बहुत evidences थे. और हमारे घर में बहुत बड़ा ड्रामा भी हुआ था कि क्या हो रहा है ये सब, and her parents were there. So we had enough sufficient proofs to prove that we were innocent. But when I started talking to people कि ऐसा हो गया है, everybody used to say कि just get out, just get out, do whatever you can, but just get out, because आप सब लोगों को जो है जेल में डाल दिया जाएगा. And that was very shocking for me, because I like to believe that I'm a very, very principles oriented and a values oriented person. And I saw this as a complete mockery of justice and mockery of laws. And I remember there was one incident where her sister was standing in the court and she said, why are you afraid? All the laws are for you. So you know that you can, really screw these people's lives. And I was like, okay, why does she have confidence to say this? And that's when I started inquiring कि ये क्या है, 498 क्या है, ये पूरा का पूरा चीज जो हमारे साथ हो रहा है वो क्या है. And that's when a whole new world opened in front of me, which was false dowry cases, false 498A, legal terrorism, and various judgments which
So
the
this was
courts had already
before
passed.
the Supreme Court's case of
Arnesh
Arnesh
Kumar.
Kumar.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, this was in 2011.
yeah, I remember
Yeah.
during my early days, whenever there was a dowry case, policemen used to chase the entire, set of family members. कि पकड़ के लाओ,
Yeah.
arrest करेंगे, सब चीजें, and so on and so forth.
Exactly.
And getting anticipatory bail at that point of time was difficult.
Exactly.
Nowadays it is
So
quite easy, but
yeah, nowadays there's a new pattern now.
yes,
क्योंकि डाउरी केस में अरेस्ट इतना ज्यादा इमीडिएट नहीं है, so women have started adding 376, 354. I mean, it's just the change of sections. The intent remains the same. It's extortion. It's legal extortion, that you file false cases and you demand enormous and crazy amount of money from people. And sadly, डाउरी के खिलाफ तो सब लोग खड़े होते हैं, लेकिन इस तरह की एक्सटॉर्शन के खिलाफ बहुत कम लोग खड़े होते हैं. But I decided to stand up. And that's when और एक चीज जो बहुत ज्यादा मुझे मूव करी, that was the depression and the suicidal tendencies that a lot of people develop when they are undergoing cases and stress like this. और जब मैंने research अपनी शुरू की, I came across very, very sad and traumatizing cases where men had died by suicide, writing suicide notes that they're ending life because of false cases. And that's when I decided that और कुछ नहीं तो I will give back to the society by making a documentary to spread awareness. सबसे ज्यादा बड़ी प्रॉब्लम जो लोगों को लगती है इस टाइम पे, वो ये लगती है कि हम अकेले पड़ गए हैं. फैमिलीज, रिलेटिव्स डोंट सपोर्ट यू, फ्रेंड्स डोंट सपोर्ट यू. क्योंकि वही जिससे हम लोगों ने शुरू किया पॉडकास्ट, ज्यादातर लोग यही सोचते हैं कि लड़की के साथ ही गलत हुआ होगा. बहुत कम लोग ये थोड़ा रैशनलाइज भी करने की सोचते हैं. सब लोग यही सोचते हैं कि अगर कुछ एलिगेशन लगाया तो बहुत कुछ सच होगा. बट बहुत सारी केसेस होते हैं जिसमें ऐसा नहीं होता है. There is no fault of the husband or his family, but in order to exact revenge, the woman ends up doing so. So I decided 2012 में basically when my family got a little out of this, तो मैंने सोचा कि documentary बनाऊंगी, and least that I can do is to tell people that they are not alone. There are a lot of people who get falsely accused. There are a lot of people whose marriages fail, and there are a lot of people who fight back as well. So this is not the end of life. In order to basically uh, stop these suicides from happening and give a little encouragement to people to fight back.
So, Deepika, what I have seen in my experience is that not many courts actually take action against females when they put so many false allegations,
Yes,
and that's why there is no fear of law. लोगों को जब तक
absolutely.
लगता है कि if there is a female can write anything before the court.
Yeah,
There are
absolutely.
गिने चुने cases होते हैं जिसमें जज कहते हैं बाद में कि now this person is acquitted and the action should be taken against the wife or that girl who has put up so many false allegations. Do you agree with this notion?
Absolutely, Vikas. And मेरे साथ तो ऐसा है कि because of the popularity of my work, almost on a daily basis, there are about 10, sometimes 20 cases that come to me by people asking for help. तो मेरे पास तो हर रोज नई स्टोरीज होती हैं, और लेटेस्ट मेरे ख्याल से जो मैं आपको 2 केसेस बता सकती हूँ which you know extremely nails that notion is अभी मेरे ख्याल से मध्य प्रदेश हाई कोर्ट ने एक देवर के ऊपर रेप केस उसकी भाभी ने जो लगाया था क्वॉश किया है, एंड दिस इज आई थिंक वन ऑफ द मोस्ट आई वुड कॉल इट अ लैंडमार्क जजमेंट, बिकॉज यूजुअली क्या होता है रेप केसेस में, यू वुड नो इट वेल as soon as the allegations prima facie proves that it is rape, the woman says in her FIR, then in 164 as well, court, even if they want to quash it, they don't quash it. But in this case, I really love that the judge has taken a stand and said कि लेडी ने पहले 498 लगाया हुआ था, डीवी लगाया हुआ था, 125 लगाया था, ये रेप की कहीं एलिगेशन नहीं थी. एंड द सिक थिंग इन दिस इज दैट द हस्बैंड ऑफ दिस वुमन हैज ऑलरेडी डाइड. अपने पति के मरने के बाद अपने इन लॉज की प्रॉपर्टी के ऊपर कैप्चर करने के लिए उसने सारी की सारी टेक्निक्स अपनाई, जूडा 498 डीवी एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट, पूरा का पूरा सेट उनके ऊपर फाइल किया, और जब वहां से उसको वो नहीं मिला जो उसको चाहिए था, then she filed a false rape case on the brother-in-law.
Yes.
And they moved the high court for quashing, and the court said that we cannot allow this case to continue because this is actually injustice if you would allow this person to be prosecuted. हालांकि prima facie rape case है, FIR में statement है, 164 में statement है, but still we cannot close our eyes to the intention behind leveling. और जो lady ने जो rape case की allegations लगाए थे, they are also so bizarre. She says that after her husband's death, her devar proposed to her, and then he went to her house and then sexually assaulted her. मतलब उसके घर में जाके वो बंदा कैसे किसी को सेक्सुअली असॉल्ट कर सकता है? उसके माँ बाप नहीं है, क्या हुआ है, कुछ नहीं है, कोई डेट नहीं, कोई मेंशन नहीं, these omnibus allegations. और the addition is that we see right now happening in all the cases कि उसको कुछ पदार्थ सुंघाया जिसके बाद वो बेहोश हो गई, और ये आई एम श्योर यू वुड नो दैट दीज एलिगेशंस, दीज स्टेटमेंट्स, या हाँ वो कि अनकॉन्शियस थी एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट, तो वो हो गया. कोर्ट ने इतनी स्ट्रॉन्ग जजमेंट देके इस केस को क्वॉश किया, लेकिन उस महिला के खिलाफ कोई एक्शन नहीं लिया. सो यू कैन cry about rape, falsely cry about rape, and then there is no action. When rape is such a heinous offense, एक्चुअल रेपिस्ट के लिए कितनी ज्यादा एक्सट्रीम पनिशमेंट है, बट जो लेडीज फॉल्स रेप केस फाइल करती हैं उनको पनिशमेंट नहीं मिलती. देयर आर केसेस वेयर विमेन हैव बीन पनिश्ड बाय 500 rupees फाइन for filing a false gang rape case. There are cases where the woman has been asked to stand in the court for 8 hours only when the man she falsely accused of rape spent 2 years in jail. Delhi High Court let a woman go with just an apology when she herself confessed that she had filed a false rape case. So I see the pattern going exactly in the same way as 498A, Vikas. 498A भी इतना ज्यादा लीगल टेररिज्म इसलिए बन गया क्योंकि जो महिलाएं झूठे डाउरी केस करती थी उनको कभी भी पनिश नहीं किया गया. रेप केसेस में तो मैं फिर भी थोड़ा सा सुन लेती हूँ, आजकल कोर्ट्स बोलती हैं कि इट्स अ फॉल्स केस, और कोई फाइन लगा दिया, कुछ कर दिया, वेरी वेरी मिनिस्क्यूल पनिशमेंट, बिकॉज रेप इज अ वेरी वेरी सीरियस क्राइम. बट I, in my last 11 years of journey, have never heard in a single case that a woman was legally punished for filing a false 498A. I don't know about you. I have never heard a case like this.
I have
अभी भी
actually
सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने भी, yeah.
I have actually, come across few cases in Delhi
Mhm,
itself wherein
mhm,
the court has directed the registration of FIR against the wife
mhm.
itself.
Right.
एक तो
Okay.
अभी यहीं से हुआ है, रोनी के नॉर्थ और सेंट्रल डिस्ट्रिक्ट से. So
That is the case where she alleged false rape case on father-in-law. I know that case जहाँ पे 211 में FIR करने को बोला है कोर्ट
yes,
ने.
yes.
Yeah. But that case में the woman had filed false rape case on the father-in-law. So that charge, of course, along with all the other charges, got disproved. But and lady के ऊपर जो है 211 लगाई है. She's herself a lawyer now. Her father is also a lawyer.
Yes, the
So I
same
know
case.
about that case, but the only case. और that's also I think because उसमें अंदर 376 का false allegation भी था.
But
Pure 498A I have never heard, but yeah.
लेकिन हमारे यहाँ पे ना एक सूडो फेमिनिस्ट मूवमेंट भी चल रहा है जो कहते हैं कि से नो टू डाउरी बट यस टू एलिमनी एंड मेंटेनेंस. तो जब तक ये चीजें हैं सोसाइटी के अंदर कि आप कहते हैं कि भाई दहेज लेना और देना जो होगा दैट इज क्राइम, आप नहीं देंगे. और जब वेन एवर द गर्ल कम्स और द वाइफ कम्स टू द कोर्ट एंड सेज कि मुझे मेंटेनेंस भी चाहिए और मुझे एलिमनी भी चाहिए, उसके लिए देयर इज नॉट इवन अ सिंगल पर्सन हु इज रेजिंग वॉइस. तो जो कहते हैं कि सोसाइटी में आगे की इस तरह की सिचुएशंस होती हैं एंड दैट इज व्हाई व्हाट इन मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द मेट्रोपॉलिटन सिटीज एंड अब तो सेकंड टियर सिटीज में भी इस तरह के केसेस आने शुरू हो गए हैं wherever you say anything and everything.
Yeah. See, मैं तो forget about anybody raising their voice, especially women who strongly believe in equality and they say that women are independent, women are equal. हम लोग वो सब कुछ कर सकते हैं जो आदमी कर सकते हैं, but then these women will never turn around and say that this is absolutely wrong and this needs to stop. In fact, people like me, women like me, अगर हम इस चीज के खिलाफ आवाज उठाते हैं तो एक बहुत ही हमारे लिए स्टैंडर्ड एलिगेशन है फेमिनिस्ट्स के पास. वो कहते हैं, हमें कहते हैं pick me women, and that basically means that we are raising voice for men because we want attention from men, and we are pick me women, which is very derogatory. But I really don't know why would they say that, but I think anybody in the social media space as well, अगर कोई भी, अब तो खैर काफी awareness आ गई and a lot of people have started talking about it, but there are women who are also voicing for men and with this absolute inequality जो ये pseudo feminism जो हम देखते हैं, there are a lot of women who are raising voice against it as well, but बहुत ही छोटी परसेंटेज है. लार्जली औरतें बिलीव यही करती हैं कि कोई भी सर्कमस्टेंस हो, कोई भी सिचुएशन हो, जो गलत है वो आदमी ही है और जो सही है वो औरत ही है, which I think is very very problematic. और इंटरेस्टिंगली जितने भी ये केसेस होते हैं विकास, इसमें अगर आप FIRs पढ़ेंगे तो स्टार्टिंग में पहली 3-4 लाइनों में तो ये डिस्क्राइब किया होता है कि किस तरह से हमने दहेज दिया, हमने 20 लाख खर्चे, हमने 40 लाख खर्चे, हमने ये दिया, हमने वो दिया. फिर उसके बाद 5th लाइन में आता है कि फिर उसके बाद एक और उनको गाड़ी चाहिए थी या ये चाहिए था वो चाहिए था. नाउ डाउरी गिविंग एंड taking both are crimes,
Both are
but
offenses.
both are offenses, but I don't think any woman or her family has ever been punished for giving dowry when they're themselves admitting the crime in their FIR that they did give. And of course बहुत सारे cases baked होते हैं जिसमें they are ये इतने बड़े amounts की dowry देना सिर्फ इसलिए दिखाया जाता है because the final amount of money that they want to take from the husband will depend on these allegations made कि हमने तो 40 लाख खर्चे तो हमारे को 80 लाख चाहिए, या हमने 50 लाख खर्चे तो हमारे को 1 करोड़ रुपया चाहिए. So these are demands regularly seen in these cases. And पढ़ी लिखी औरतें, I know a case where the woman earns 1 lakh per month as a salary, and she has demanded 2 lakh rupees from her husband as maintenance. अब कहाँ गई इनकी इंडिपेंडेंस, अब कहाँ गई इनकी इक्वालिटी, और अब कहाँ गई इनकी फेमिनिज्म. भरे पड़े हैं हमारे कोर्ट्स ऐसे केसेस से जहाँ पे अच्छा खासा कमाने वाली, अच्छी खासी एजुकेशन, अच्छी खासी जॉब वाली महिलाएं जो हैं वो मेंटेनेंस मांग रही हैं. और तो और ऐसे भी बहुत सारे केसेस शायद विकास आपने भी देखे होंगे जहाँ पे महिलाएं जॉब छोड़ देती हैं just in order to get maintenance from the husband, just so that कि उसको हम किसी तरह से हरास करें, उसके ऊपर हम किसी तरह से फाइनेंशियल बर्डन ऐसा डाल दें कि he ends up agreeing to paying maximum amount of money. वहां पे इन सब चीजों के बारे में कोई फिर कोई फेमिनिस्ट आउटरीच नहीं करते हैं, कोई फेमिनिस्ट इनइक्वालिटी की बातें नहीं करते हैं. दीज आर नेवर इन देयर डिक्शनरी. एंड जस्ट टू सम इट अप, a lot of feminists say that they stand for equality and they stand for equal rights and everything. But just to share with people, एक बहुत ही अच्छी जजमेंट आई थी which would have taken care of a lot of false dowry cases and the harassment of families of husband. राजेश शर्मा जजमेंट आई थी सुप्रीम कोर्ट की
after
2014 में.
Kansraj.
आफ्टर अरनेश कुमार जजमेंट 2017 वाज राजेश जजमेंट. इसमें कोर्ट ने ये बोला था कि ऐसे केसेस जहाँ पे देयर इज अ लॉन्ग मैरिज और ऐसे केसेस जहाँ पे प्रेमा फेसी कोई वायलेंस नहीं है, कोई अट्रॉसिटीज नहीं है, वहां पे जो है केसेस को पहले फैमिली वेलफेयर कमेटी के पास देखो एंड दे विल डिसाइड वेदर एन एफआईआर इज इवन मेड आउट और नॉट मेड आउट और इट्स अ फ्रिवोलस केस. But it was soon overturned because a lot of feminists, first of all, outraged against it. And then, second, they moved a petition in the Supreme Court to get the judgment reversed. And it was taken down by a larger bench. So that clearly proves that feminists don't really believe in equality. They just want supremacy of women in any situation and every situation. They can never think that the man can also be wronged. And they clearly do not want any solutions for it.
There is a saying among us lawyers कि जब आपके आर्ग्यूमेंट खत्म हो जाते तो यू स्टार्ट द नेम कॉलिंग और या फिर शाउटिंग शुरू कर दीजिए. So most of these, as far as our society is concerned, there have been situations where these laws were needed, but I think the times are changing. It should be either the rights is available to both genders or not at all. And the kind of judgments which are being passed by the Supreme Court and different high courts, they are only decide on case to case basis. They can't make a law. This is the difference between the precedents and the law.
True.
As long as this legislative body does not take any action, they don't amend these laws. अब उनको भी लगता है कि हमारा वोट बैंक खत्म हो जाएगा मोटा मोटी. So अब सुप्रीम कोर्ट के हाथ में जितना है वो उतना करता है on the case to case basis. They can always generalize certain things, not all of them. तो अभी आपका जो upcoming plan है, so what are you currently working on जिस पे so that people could know and they get awareness about all these things?
So my effort always, Vikas, has been to spread awareness. Something that I started doing after I was a little relatively free after finishing India's Sons is that I have personally started intervening in cases which are clear case of frauds and which are clear case of sextortion. I got a girl arrested in Gurgaon who had filed 9 rape cases against 9 boys in just 1 year in Gurgaon. In June this year, I got a gang busted in Gurgaon. They were trapping men through dating apps, and the woman used to meet the guy in a hotel, meet after catching up on the dating app. She would immediately propose to meet in a hotel or in a sort of secluded place, then have consensual relationship. The next day she would go to the police station and say that this man has raped me. And there was a guy who was working with him. This woman's name is Binita Kumari. The guy's name is Mahesh Fogart. So basically they were a gang, and I think there were more women who were involved or attached with Mahesh Fogart in his gang. So the modus operandi was same. The woman would meet the guy through dating app, then they would go to a hotel, she would have consensual relationship, and the next day she would go to the police station and say that this man has raped her. Then Mahesh Fogart would call the guy and say that I am calling from an NGO that works for women, and I looked at your profile and I think you're an educated man. I would really not want your career to be destroyed. So this girl has come to us also because she wants to move ahead with an FIR, but we thought we would intervene. And trust me, because the flawlessly I am speaking right now, it is the words that Mahesh used to say, because I've heard these call recordings, right? He was so spick and span, well aware of the laws, and asked the guy, so convincing. And he would ask the guy would say, I have not done anything like this. And Mahesh Fogart would say, do you have any evidence that she gave consent? Do you have it written in that she said yes? Do you know that a no means a no? And if a girl goes to the police station and she says that there was no consent, then it will be presumed that there is no consent. And the guy would be like, of course, not aware of the laws, be completely taken aback. And then the extortion would start. So there were, one guy had already lost 2.5 lakh rupees. One guy had paid them 1 lakh rupees. There was third man who was being, sort of cajoled to give 5 lakh rupees. Interestingly, all these three men reached out to me. Two of them reached out to me through Instagram, one separately. And the guy who had already given 1 lakh basically told me the name of the girl. Then this guy who was being demanded 5 lakhs told me the name of the girl. Name of the girl was the same. And then I approached Gurgaon police and I told them that this is a racket which was being running. And they were kind enough to actually set up an entire police force to red-handed arrest this gang. So Mahesh and Benita were both arrested and they are behind bars on the charges of extortion in different cases. So there are cases where it's clearly a false rape case, but the police doesn't listen to the guy's side. So I try and reach out to the police officers and request them to please hear the other side as well, and sort of at least give the time to the person to seek some legal recourse. There are about 10 to 12 cases right now where which I have exposed, where one woman has filed multiple rape cases. One in Gurgaon who had filed 9 rape cases. There's one in Jabalpur who has filed 6 rape cases. There's one in Dwarka which has filed 8 to 9 rape and gang rape cases. There's one girl in Jaipur who has filed 10 rape cases. So investigated these cases thoroughly and then brought them up with the highest level police officers to get some investigations done. So there's a lot of groundwork that I'm doing now after sort of working on spreading the awareness. And thankfully, there are people now who come forward to support and try to help these victims in whatever way possible.
So this is the point that you have mentioned. I've also come across these kind of things. Mostly whenever a complainant comes to the police, they check the criminal record of the accused generally. So how many FIRs have been registered against this person? But in most of the cases, they don't check the record of the complainant. How many FIRs, how many complaints have been given by this person in which police stations? And I think the NCRB data and the state-wise data, they don't have these consolidated data to actually check it. Just as you have mentioned that these two people came to you and the name of the girl was same. अगर आपको नहीं पता होता तो लोगों को तो they would have been kept on extorting those
absolutely.
things.
Yeah. They had made lakhs and lakhs of money until these people came to me and then the gang was busted. But ऐसे भी cases है विकास जहाँ पे arrest के बाद भी they continue to do this. There are cases that have recently come in news from Sonipat, Panipat, usually the belts in Haryana. Haryana में तो बहुत ज़्यादा ये हो रहा है, where the woman was arrested earlier also for extortion, and then she came out and then she did it again. There was a case from Delhi where a guy was murdered by two of such women who used to do extort. They landed up in jail on that charge. They came out, they did that again and ended up murdering that man. So yeah.
So do you think that government has made it easy for females to do it?
It's difficult to say. I
know it is a difficult question.
No.
Elections are coming next year.
It's a difficult question. But I am a strong believer that women actually need protection. Women actually need very, very active participation of our law enforcement in order to give them justice because of various kind of violence and atrocities that they are subjected to. And I am a strong believer of the fact that these laws are very much required even in today's time, because the kind of violence and the kind of extreme form of human subjugation that some women are subjected to. I mean, we see these cases every single day, so we cannot be blind to not see that there's a lot of harassment and violence and oppression of women even in today's day and date. And these laws are absolutely needed, and the men who actually perpetrate crime on women need to be punished, strongly punished. But unfortunately, most of the women who are ending up in police stations, most of the women who are ending up in the courts to fight these cases, I have to admit that an overwhelming majority of these cases are false cases. And this is not my statement. This is statement of police officers I have actively worked with, including female police officers. This is statement of female police officers and honorable retired judges who have mentioned this thing in my documentary films. So this is not something that I'm coming up with my opinion. A lot of feminists all the time, really have a lot of grudges from people like me because they say, "Arey, minuscule hai false cases, minuscule hai false cases." I think they are doing a huge, huge injustice to genuine victims because in reality, the courts and the police stations are flooded with false cases. I'll tell you, because I'm not going to name this person. I was sitting with a very, very senior police officers and IPS officer of a very, very old cadre, and I could see the pain in his eyes. And he said, "Ma'am, you have come to me to ask help for one person. Can I just get back to you and ask your help to please go and do something? My police officers are falsely accused of rape, and we know that it is a false case and that they are being demanded so much of money, and we can't do anything because the law is such कि भैया औरत ने बोल दिया तो औरत ने बोल दिया, फिर वो रेप का ट्रायल शुरू करो." So these cases are so much there in the system, and जो actual victims हैं, there are a lot of women who come to me also, Vikas, saying ki we are in this situation, what should we do? And we are so scared to even go somewhere. And then I tell them that, listen, if you're a genuine victim, you must and you have to take the recourse through the law. And you should get out of this system, this situation. You should get out of this violent environment because it is not good for you. So जिन औरतों के साथ एक्चुअली में ये होता है वो बहुत हेजिटेट करती हैं लॉ एनफोर्समेंट के पास जाने में, और जिन महिलाओं को एक्सटॉर्ट करना होता है, रिवेंज लेना होता है, एंड आई एम नॉट सेइंग दीस आर वुमेन अलोन, they have their brothers, they have their friends, they have their lawyers, they have a lot of men also backing them up to initiate something like this and then get as much money as possible from that person. So these laws are needed, but it's the problem here is that the implementation has to be upright and neutral to give justice to both the sides. And so coming back to your thing, that I think the governments always enact laws to protect the citizens, and the intent I do not think can ever be that it is used to subject injustice, or it is misused to basically commit further crimes. But if it is happening, I think the governments really need to open their eyes. And if they're not opening their eyes, then definitely governments are responsible to spread this menace, and they're an active part of this wrong happening in the society. Because of the women vote bank.
Yeah, it's a large chunk, and most of the females nowadays are educated enough. They do vote actually, and that's the issue. So I would ask all the people who are watching it to at least search Deepika Narayan Bhardwaj. I'll also put the link of her documentaries in this description of this video on all the channels that I have. And it's like a pleasure for me to have you on board and to know your experience. And first, most of the people, because they ask me so many questions related to it. तो अब मेरा जो डीएम है इंस्टाग्राम, फेसबुक का और बाकी वो तो भरा हुआ रहता है कि यहाँ फॉल्स केस हो गया, वहाँ फॉल्स केस हो गया, आप कैसे करें, देवर का प्रॉब्लम का, एंड सो फोर्थ. So I ask everybody to actually watch the documentary which have been made by Deepika ji, and it has been a pleasure talking to you and know your experience. You are doing a tremendous work, and you are among those few people who are actually trying to raise voice for so-called dominant sex, जो oppressive था. But laws are laws. Morally, ethically, there may be situations where people are doing some wrong, but legally, when a girl says that she did not consent, that is a presumption that there was no consent, and that becomes a problem. And until the courts start taking action, it would be difficult. to change the
I
situation?
just want to tell one thing to people, to men and their families. A lot of sisters also reach out to me. Please do not give up. Please do not think that this is the end of life. Please do not think that you can never get out of this situation. Uh, it's more of a mental game than a legal game. Your legal game can be taken care of by the lawyers, but your mental game will have to be taken care of by you. The stronger you are, the stronger you say that we are not going to bow down. You do whatever you want to do. Trust me, people who file false cases, unka confidence wahin pe आधा shatter हो जाता है, that they will not be able to harass
Uh,
you.
it is going to disconnect by its own.
Okay, by that
Zara
time,
na,
I think I'll be over.
all right.
Yeah. So please do not die by suicide. Please do not even think of suicide. You can connect with people like me. There are a lot of men's rights organizations that are working actively counseling men on these cases. So please reach out to them. Never think that this is the end of life.
चलो ठीक है दीपिका फिर we'll call you again and we'll discuss
Sure.
some more new things also because new laws are
Absolutely.
also coming.
Sure. Thank you so much, Vikas, for having me.
All right.